Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time once again for one of our favorite shows, This Week with Wendy, the only show that shows you the real SoCal estate of mind. And boy, we got some real estate of mind today here, some futuristic estate of mind here as we, well, let's give you the background first. Wendy Ross, as you know, has been worked many years in real estate brokerages in Northern California, here in Orange County, and she decided, well, it was time to do something different. And thus was born her company, Veracity Real Estate. She thought the time was right for a renewed commitment to bespoke client advocacy at all price levels, something you just don't see in high-cost markets like Southern California. And through it all, she's built a company of data-driven real estate professionals, people who really know what they're doing, take a look at the hard truth, and tell us the hard truth sometimes. And today we have with us one of those team members. Welcome back, Cara Stewart. Welcome. You're the Chief Brand Officer. You seem to understand the brand just about as good as anybody here.
Absolutely. I work with Wendy hand in hand to build her brand and to take her message of truth-telling to the market.
So that's a perfect segue for what we're talking about today, because there was a lot of truth at a recent, is it the National Association of Realtors? That who puts this on?
Exactly, yeah.
They had this thing called the IoI that they invited us to come cover. Wendy went up there. What was IoI? And we're going to talk about that today as you go highlights.
That's exactly what we're going to get into today. So as you said at the top of the show, Wendy is traveling, but never fear. She has planned a special episode for all of her listeners. And I get to be the one with you, Paul, to deliver all of the content. So you're right. A few weeks back, Wendy was invited as a member of the media to cover the NARS IoI Summit. And NARS, as you know, is the National Association of Realtors, and being a credentialed member of the media allowed Wendy to go behind the scenes and talk with conference organizers.
And this was a pretty big deal. There weren't a lot of people invited. It was a big conference, but I don't think there was a lot of media credentials passed out here. And I thought I was impressed that they invited Wendy to come and cover this thing and to go backstage.
Well, you know, she really has made a name for herself, because in this market that is so fragmented and so fraught with difficult decision making, she's been willing to really break it down and to give some hard truths to both buyers and sellers and to help them along the way. And that's getting out there on a national stage. So she's been invited more and more to even speak nationally on these topics.
Yeah,
and
she was
to
invited
cover
to another event a while ago here. I guess it really gives us an opportunity through her to see the future. Because the truth be told is I don't know that a lot of people really know, even in this industry, where is housing, where is residential real estate going? Are we going to see upheavals? Are we going to just see this is the new norm? And not even just about pricing, how we sell homes, how we own homes, what we do with our homes, all that kind of stuff. Wendy's out there in the frontiers of this stuff here, and I'm fascinated when she comes back and reports what she's seeing.
You're so right about that. There's not only the consumer confidence issue and helping buyers and sellers and investors know what to do next, but in order to give them good advice, they look to trusted advisors. And so many of real estate professionals on the brokerage side, realtors, on the mortgage side, title companies, you know, the whole ecosystem is really fractured and broken. And there's a lot of fear right now. The industry is changing so rapidly.
Absolutely.
And it is not one that has been keeping up with trends. And I think what Wendy, and we'll be able to dive into this through her interviews here in a minute, is showing that a lot of the fear comes from disruption.
Yes.
What is the industry going to become because of technology? And at the 4th annual IoI Summit, and as you said, it's IoI's shorthand for Innovation, Opportunity, and Investment, NARS, the National Association of Realtors, had about 600 prop tech leaders and futurists. And prop tech is shorthand for property technology.
And I didn't even know there was such a thing as prop tech. Somehow I tend to view realtors, like I do financial advisors, as transactional people. They help you make a decision in the immediate moment. How do I sell this house? How do I buy this house? How do I buy this stock? How do I sell this stock? Where it's all going, they kind of shrug and go, I don't know. It goes up, it goes down. Don't worry about it. But it's not just where the market goes. It's how the markets function.
Exactly. And you know, Paul, I think that definition you just described of the realtor who helps someone buy and sell but that was the extent. Is a dead model, but so many
So I didn't have a relationship.
so many professionals are trying to hold on to it. And that's why Wendy and others who are emerging at this forefront are really market analysts. And they're part of a savvy investor or an average consumer's new financial and legal team. And it really takes someone to have a team around them today in order to make sense of the market, whether you're talking about stocks or investments for a house or what to do now. And as Wendy always says, real estate is local. So it's one thing to be aware of what's happening on a national stage and looking at mortgage rates and trends, but what's happening here in Orange County, it's really a microcosm. And as you know, if you're a frequent listener to the show, you know that if you're sitting on the coast in Newport Beach, it's a very different story than if you're sitting inland in Buena Park. And being able to break that down literally neighborhood by neighborhood is something that too few people can do. But that's what we usually are able to do on this show. But today we're talking all about the future.
Yeah.
And at that fourth annual IoI Summit, as you said, Wendy had a chance to actually interview some of these prop tech leaders, as well as investors in there and just other forward-thinking real estate
Thought
professionals.
leaders, people as they came off stage, or she got to go backstage and talk to these people. And it's fascinating the kind of people they had assembled. Because again, I don't think of real estate as a high-tech, futuristic thing. It is. It is, yeah.
But it is. So let's show that to you. You know, I like, as we were putting together this show, I kept referring to it as a mini TEDx that we're curating just for you.
Right.
It's a mini TEDx on prop tech just for you. So first, let's get into it. It was kind of meta. Wendy met Wendy. And it was a collision of worlds for me, too, because about 10 years ago, I had an opportunity to work with another company, Carrington Real Estate Services, and worked with Wendy Forsythe there. And
you met this woman?
No, I used to work with her years ago, about 10 years ago.
Wow, what a circle.
Oh, it absolutely is. So, but Wendy Ross has never met Wendy Forsythe until this conference, and I was so happy to make this introduction for them. So Wendy Forsythe is a power broker, period. She's not only a power woman in real estate. She just announced that she's joined Compass as the president of its Californian and Hawaiian regions. But at the time of the IoI Summit, she was the chief strategy officer for Phantom Holdings, which is a national technology-driven real estate services platform. And Wendy delivered actually the welcome address at the IoI Summit. So let's hear the two Wendys talk about this to frame the conference.
Okay, roll the tape.
This is Wendy Hooper Ross with OC Talk Radio at IoI Summit in Los Angeles, sitting here with Wendy Forsythe, who is a powerhouse. Tell us about who you are, a little bit of your background, which is vast, and why you're here.
Thanks, Wendy. Great to talk with you. So I've been in real estate my entire career, helped build real estate brands and companies across the U.S. and Canada. And today I'm here at IoI Summit as the MC for the event. So very fortunate to get a unique backstage perspective as well as all the wonderful content that's being shared.
You're doing an amazing job ushering us through this event. And this is still relatively in its infancy. This is only the fourth iteration. How do you see this year's event compared to past, and what are you taking away so far to improve it for the future?
It is the fourth year of the IoI Summit. I think I've been to all four. We are seeing an evolution. Obviously, right now with changes in the housing market, there's a lot of focus on, companies really preparing the industry for those changes. Everything from, sustainability to focus on working with first-time home buyers to rentals. So we're seeing a lot of those, topical and important subjects being addressed here at IoI.
I agree. The information has been vast and truly, truly useful and cutting edge. And also pivoting a little bit, the pitches for these new companies, that's been fascinating. They're so forward thinking, my mind was blown. Is that going to continue to be an element of this event going forward?
It will be. So the pitch battle is really one of the highlights of the event. So we had 12 amazing pitches. The founders or whomever is doing the pitch on behalf of the company gets 4 minutes to really share their value proposition to the audience. And we're going to be announcing this afternoon the winner of the pitch battle. But these are really companies that will be shaping the future of opportunity and of the industry. So it is a great, great spot to bring them to the forefront and bring them attention for all the hard work that happens behind the scenes.
I cannot wait to see who the lucky winner is. It was so much fun just to see all of them as well. So I think they're all winners for having been here. I thank you so, so much. I can't wait to come back next year. And that's all for now.
All right, thank you.
Again,
Wow.
Wendy Hooper Ross, OC Talk Radio at the IoI Summit in Los Angeles.
Wow. Okay, that's a good start.
That's a good way to start, isn't it? So, of course, one of the chief reasons attendees flock to this conference every year is to hear the speakers, many of whom are futurists guiding us forward. And Wendy, being Wendy, gravitated toward the speakers advocating for social equity and social investment inclusion in real estate. Paul, we have a couple of those interviews. What if we start with Michelle Boyd? She's the Chief Strategy Officer for Turner Labs, and she directs the Housing Lab program. And in that role, she leads new program development that leverage business, nonprofit, and technology innovation to solve housing affordability challenges, something that pains us all, and certainly in certain sectors more so than others.
Okay, let's roll the tape. This is Michelle Boyd, who's the Chief Strategy Officer for the Housing Lab program.
This is Wendy Hooper Ross for OC Talk Radio, back again from the IOI Summit in Los Angeles. I'm sitting with Michelle Boyd. Michelle, please tell us who you are and what you do and what your role is here at the summit.
Hi, Wendy. So I'm Michelle Boyd. I help lead an organization called Turner Housing Innovation Labs. We're affiliated with the Turner Center for Housing Innovation at UC Berkeley, where we do research and policy work to help make housing more affordable and more accessible and equitable here in California and at the federal level. And then our Turner Labs directly supports innovators who are developing new technologies, new businesses, new nonprofit models that can make housing more affordable, equitable, and sustainable. Particularly, we run an accelerator program that supports early emerging innovators. We've been doing that for the past 4 years. We also do some data tools that city governments can use across California, and we work on reducing the cost of construction of housing in particular.
I love that. And given that this is a fairly new entity, this summit is only on its 4th year, what was it that prompted you to attend, and what do you feel like you're getting from it?
So I was invited to speak on a panel around housing affordability in particular and what innovation can do for affordability. It's great to hear that National Association of Realtors is asking these questions. I think it's timely. The cost of housing here in California is insane, as I know a lot of those listening know. What institutions and other large players in the space can do to affect the behavior of their members or change policies is encouraging. So that's why I'm here.
Can't thank you enough. It's really important work. So thank you for taking a minute out for me. Again, this is Wendy Ross at IOI Summit in Los Angeles for OC Talk Radio.
You know, it's important, like she said, that people are even asking these questions at the national level, like National Association of Realtors, at conferences like this. And for us to have Wendy going there and asking the questions that are on many of our minds, how are we going to handle equity, fairness? Is it just going to be the rich who own and the rest of us rent? You know, all of these are big questions that I don't think enough people are thinking about. And the people in the trenches down here who are selling the homes certainly aren't. Just who cares? Just, trying to make another deal happen here.
Yeah. And, especially here in Southern California, for so long, it was easy to brush aside the concepts of affordable housing.
Yes.
And right now we have a contingency of residents who still try to do that. But at least there are national organizations and thought leaders trying to address this. And it's not going to be a one-size-fits-all solution, as we hear. They had many different perspectives about housing affordability and equity. For example, Lori Benner joined Michelle Boyd in presenting innovations in affordable housing. And she is with the National Fair Housing Alliance. So she's actually responsible for developing and managing national programs and partnerships. Paul, let's hear from Lori.
Okay.
Wendy Hooper Ross for OC Talk Radio. I'm back at the IoI Summit in Los Angeles. With me now is Lori Benner. Lori, please tell our audience who you are and what you do and why you're here.
I'm the Associate Vice President of Programs for the National Fair Housing Alliance. The National Fair Housing Alliance is a civil rights nonprofit dedicated to eliminating discrimination in housing. I was asked to attend this conference to moderate a panel on innovations in affordable housing. Been lucky to sit on a few sessions while I'm here. Wonderful, brilliant, insightful ideas are coming out of this conference. I've never been before. It's my first time, so I'm very impressed. In particular, the National Fair Housing Alliance has a tech equity initiative, and that is designed to eliminate bias in computer algorithms, machine learning, everything in that tech space, which frankly I won't pretend to understand because it's pretty complicated stuff. But our Tech Equity Initiative is absolutely the sexiest thing that National Fair Housing Alliance has going on right now. And so I hope to get some ideas, some names, some information to take back to them to help further their work in eliminating discrimination in the machine learning and algorithmic spaces in tech.
Love, love, love that. Okay, so I don't want people to barrage you with inquiries, but if people want to know more about what you're doing at the Fair Housing, how can they reach you or someone and get more information?
Our website is nationalfairhousing.org. You can find all about our Tech Equity Initiative, and you can also learn about the initiative that I'm managing, which is called Keys Unlock Dreams, which is a nationwide initiative designed to close the racial homeownership and wealth gaps.
Speaking my language, I love that. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. Again, Wendy Hooper Ross for OC Talk Radio at IoI Summit.
Cara, just hearing somebody on a national stage casually use the term innovations in affordable housing. I didn't think there were any innovations in affordable housing. That's been the fear, that there isn't. We can all worry about it, but what are we going to do?
And did you also hear that she said tech equity is sexy?
Yeah, well,
I mean, wow.
only Wendy could find somebody who thinks that this topic is sexy here.
But
Yeah.
that's what it's going to take. And I know when
Yeah.
Wendy Ross came back from this conference, one of the things that so energized her was that the solutions were not being approached in a silo. You know,
in an
Lori-
academic way,
Yeah,
just pure
exactly.
research.
Pure research or that siloed approach, because again, it's going to take solutions from all aspects of government, nonprofit, for-profit, thought leaders, community leaders, organizers. You know, Lori talked about the organization being truly a civil rights organization.
Yeah,
and
I
the
never thought of it that way.
Yeah, housing and access to housing is truly a civil rights issue. She went a little bit deeper, Wendy did, at this conference about that subject, and kind of rounded out the conversation with Jenna Louie, who's the Director of Strategy and Operations with Ivory Innovations. Let's hear from Wendy and Jenna.
This is Wendy Hooper Ross with OC Talk Radio at IoI Summit in Los Angeles. With me now is Jenna Louie. Jenna, welcome, and please tell us a bit about you and what you're doing here.
So thanks for having me on. My name is Jenna Louie. I'm the director at Ivory Innovations. We're a Utah-based nonprofit focused on innovating in housing affordability. And so what we do is we work with organizations across the country, nonprofits, for-profits, small, big, startups, established companies, you name it. And we try to find the most promising solutions for housing affordability, people who are really going to make a difference, people who have new and novel ideas, because goodness knows there is a housing shortage in this country and we need lots of different ideas in order to address it. And so that is our main area of focus, and happy to chat more about it.
So tell me a bit about your presence here. This is only year 4 for this event, and I think it's glorious. How did you learn about it, and what was it that motivated you to attend?
Well, when we think about housing affordability, you know, you can't take realtors and the entire process of selling homes, of advising first-time home buyers, advising people who are already in their homes out of the equation. We know that realtors are some of the most trusted advisors during that process, right? When you're a home buyer, right, you go to someone who has expertise. You are working with that person, and Wendy, I'm sure you know this inside and out, and many of our listeners too, right? And so you go to a trusted advisor. And so when we think about who are the people who have the opportunity opportunity to inflect change, right? Who are the main points of contact? Who has the expertise, the leverage to really try to make change and make a difference? Realtors are absolutely top of that list. And so some of the things that we're focused on here are, how do we tell a story about housing affordability? We know that things have been crazy in the markets. We know that supply challenges are getting worse across the country. We know that affordability, right, is getting worse as monthly payments go up, right? You know, for the same amount of house that you could have bought last year, it's a lot harder to afford that this year. And so what does that look like from an innovation perspective? What does that look like from a solutions perspective? And I wouldn't be able to explain all of it here on air, but there are so many ideas out there, and I think the real question is, what does that look like for you, and how do you find organizations, how do you find ideas that might be the right fit for your business or even for your community? And groups like us are trying to help make those possible, make those transparent, and get them out there and help them scale.
Your work is amazing. So before we wrap this up, do me a favor and just share with listeners how they can reach you if they want more information.
I would love to hear from you all. So my name's Jenna, and you can find me at Jenna, Jenna, at ivoryinnovations.org. That's Ivory, IVORY, innovations.org. We think about housing affordability all day long. This is my passion. This is my dream. And so for anyone who's interested in learning more, wants to chat, please email me. It would be wonderful to talk.
Well, there you go. Open invitation. Maybe you can get her on the show someday here.
I think that's a great idea, Paul. I know Wendy selected Jenna's interview for two reasons. One is how positive she is about the future and makes us hopeful that there will be solutions. And two, Jenna presented both a compliment and a challenge to realtors, that they need to be the top of the list as trusted advisors helping to power through these solutions for affordable housing. And that's something that Wendy echoes and even trains at Veracity Real Estate. So there really was a nice convergence there of mind and matter and
let's go back to that idea before we leave that.
Yeah, of course.
It's what Wendy's been pushing from the beginning. I'm not just here to get a transaction done for you and process the paperwork and find your buyer and show the house and write the deal up, and then we're on to the next thing here. She really takes a long-term view on this and really approaches each and every client from a strategic standpoint. I mean, I know that sounds kind of, when people say, what does that mean? What's our strategy? How should we be doing this? Is this the right time to sell? What do we sell for? How do we sell? Where do you go next? Big questions that most people, which you expect from an advisor.
Yes.
But you don't expect from somebody who's just there to get the deal done.
Mm-hmm.
And too many of these people, you know, like we talked about before, you got these mega, super giant real estate firms, and the guy or girl says, I've sold 8 million homes this month here. They can't possibly
Yeah,
be
can we point to a
involved.
couple billboards down the 405 freeway that state that?
Yeah, and so, you know, wow, you say that they're really in all these deals. No, they're not. They're just bringing them in and turning them over to teams of people and churning through these things as quickly as they can. Let's just get the deal
The
done.
fast food addiction.
The fast food addiction, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing has happened in financial planning. You know, too often my dad just went to a stockbroker and he transacted the deal for him. Maybe gave him a little advice, maybe gave him some other things. But my dad just kind of trusted him to take care of the transaction and maybe give a little bit input along the way, but not a lot. Now we're flooded with information. I don't go to my stockbroker and just say, buy and sell this. I can do that myself. Just like people can buy and sell their homes themselves. If they're going to use somebody else, then they're looking for more than just getting the deal done. They're looking for some real advice. How should I do this? What should I do? Where should I do? All that kind of stuff. And that means you've got to think of yourself as a strategic player. I'm sorry I'm going on here, but I don't see that at the low end of the market. I only see that for the super uber wealthy that have a $100 million home or a $50 million home.
Right. And, you know, that is part of the frustration that the average consumer has with realtors and financial advisors and others. You know, if they're spending the time doing all the research themselves online,
right.
You know, kind of truly, why do you need these professionals? But if the professionals are taking their career seriously and really doing the best by their clients, they're going above and beyond, and nothing is transactional anymore. Can we just remove that whole experience from the world? Because either something is DIY or we need to be able to have these trusted advisors around us and being authentic in these relationships. And that's what Wendy has always been, talking about.
And then it's a relationship where the next time I sell a house, and maybe it's 10 years from now, maybe it's 5 years now, maybe it's 20 years now, but there is a relationship I've built up. I can go back to somebody and say, hey, is this the time to sell? Is this the time to buy? I got any creative ideas? Where, how, why, what? And all the other implications that go into these large transactions to do it right.
Right. And as Wendy talks about through various anecdotes with her clients, for example, she has one client that wanted to purchase a condo, and, she's talked about this on the show, so I won't go into all the details. But right now, there in California are issues with insurance because of wildfires and rising rates and
Right.
other things. And
You think the condo association has the right insurance, and maybe they've lost it, or maybe they haven't updated it.
but her clients were blown away that Wendy was presenting to them information that they had not seen anywhere else. So that's part of the here and now, but also being able to talk about the future. And she really hopes part of her reason for wanting to break down the IOI Summit is to invite other, her colleagues next year to join, because we all have to take part in this futuristic look.
I wonder how many regular realtors, good realtors doing good work, selling houses, but are they really putting that kind of time and energy into where the world is moving, or are they just stuck in the moment right now where we're at trying to get the deal done?
Well, let's make sure we are not stuck in this moment,
Yeah.
right? All right, so we heard from some of the speakers, they're great talent up on stage, but what sets IOI Summit apart from other NAR conferences is its pitch competition. And the pitch battle at the IOI Summit was in partnership with Second Century Ventures, and that's NAR's strategic investment arm. So at this, its forward-thinking startups actually got to pitch their innovative solutions in front of a veteran panel of judges. And the whole goal here was to challenge them to address the biggest issues and present investment opportunities in real estate. Wendy interviewed the pitching companies, and let's hear from two of them. First up, could you play Wendy's interview with Eric Lappin of Form Free? And then let's talk with Michael Aladawi. And what's cool is that Mike's company, Revive, actually won the pitch battle. And if you remember, Wendy Forsythe and Wendy Ross talked about that in their interview, which opened this show. So first up, let's hear from Wendy and Eric.
This is Wendy Hooper Ross for OC Talk Radio. I'm at the IOI Summit in Los Angeles. I'm here with Eric Lappin. Eric, with Form Free, please tell us who you are, what you're doing, and why you came to the summit.
Hi, Wendy. So Eric Lappin with Form Free came to this summit because at Form Free we are democratizing lending for all humans. Basically, what that means is we are creating virtual credit, utilizing permissioned financial data from consumers, and applying our own patented ability to pay analytics. And what does that mean? It means we're all individual. How do we, what is our ability to handle certain loans, whether it's for a home, an auto, consumer, micro lending, whatever it is, any sort of lending, everyone has the ability to pay some amount. So we're here to, inform, bring this to the masses, so to speak, as we look to, work with the members of National Association of Realtors.
So this is a fairly new conference. This is only year 4. How did you hear of it? And when you did, why did you think it was important for you to be here?
Heard about it through someone that I had met in the industry a little while ago by the name of Teresa Grobecker, and she and I had an opportunity to share the stage back in May at a conference in Texas where we were talking about NFTs and distributed ledger technologies. How does it relate to lending and real estate? And she had mentioned this to me. I then met Alex Lang and some of the team over here at National Association of Realtors, and we decided to come out and be part of this.
So based upon your recent experience here, what do you think about this? Is this something you'll revisit and come back to again?
Yes. No, we thought this was great because the whole fact of the IOI, which is investment, opportunity, and innovation, fits us perfectly. I mean, we're used to working in the mortgage space specifically, but what we do and what we've created works outside of that as well. So anything that has to do with prop tech, reg tech, fintech is where we come into play. So we really, we'd love to come back to this, and then we can feel that just from the people we've met here that there's going to be a lot of growth and augmentation from the people that attend.
Okay, so for those people who want to know more, which is probably going to be everyone, where should they go to connect with you?
Probably my MySpace account. No, I'm just kidding. They can connect with us, formfree.com, or me directly at elapin, ELAPIN, at formfree.com, and I get back quickly.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for taking time, and I'm going to shamelessly ask you and beg you and pursue you to see if you'll be on my podcast sometime in the future, because we want a deeper dive. All right, that's it for now. This is Wendy Hooper Ross for OC Talk Radio at IoI Summit. This is Wendy Hooper Ross with OC Talk Radio at IoI Summit in Los Angeles. I'm thrilled to be sitting with Michael Aladawi, who happens to be a friend of mine. It's been a long time, Michael.
Hi, Wendy. So good to bump into you here.
So tell me, why are you here? What are you doing?
Well, let's see. Well, first of all, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Revive, and Revive is changing people's lives one renovation at a time. I'm here at IoI because we were part of the IoI pitch battle. So I was really happy to be one of the companies pitching here this year. So that's why I'm here.
I think it's wonderful. And for those of you listening who don't know what this is, tell us a bit about what the pitch battle entailed.
Sure. 12 companies were picked to kind of do like a Shark Tank type of pitch. Yeah. We had 4 minutes to kind of identify the problem that we're trying to solve, the solution, and the impact that it's having on, the real estate industry in general.
I love it. And I love what you're doing with Revive. I heard about it and didn't realize this was your entity. But talk about taking all the weight off the shoulders of homeowners and their broker agents to not have to go and manage a construction project to get a home ready for market. This is brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a fun 2.5-year journey in trying to build something that could really add value to the end consumer, the homeowner, but also realtors who are trying to help their clients, extract every bit of equity out of a home.
I love it. I love it, and I love that I ran into you. So promise me that you'll be on my radio show.
Done. Okay. Of course. Thank you so much.
And how can people reach you if they want to know more?
Revive.realestate. So, www.revive.realestate.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Once again, this is Wendy Hooper Ross for OC Talk Radio at IoI Summit LA.
Well, that revives my hope that
nicely done, Paul.
There are possibilities. There's an interesting thing. What little I understand about it, it sounds like somebody will come in and either help you finance or help you manage a home renovation so that you can get the maximum value when you sell it. You're not going to take your old house. Because I hear more and more, fewer and fewer buyers want to buy it in rundown shape or even well-worn shape.
Not happening anymore.
They don't have the time, energy, interest to fix it up. The days of the flippers where they would fix it up and flip it seem to be gone, at least for now. And so if you're a regular home buyer, do I really want to take on that project? Do I really want to take on that expense? Do I have the time? Do I have the money to do it? I'd much rather pay for what I want now.
And that's on the consumer level. One of the reasons Wendy is excited about Revive is, it's a word that Eric used in his interview, and that's these prop tech companies are able to democratize the industry. And think about creating a level playing field for smaller realtors also who can take on more opportunities to sell houses. Work with Revive and companies like them to get the house in the best shape so that sellers are able to maximize their investment and come out of it, and buyers are able to really fall in love with a home that is ready for them.
I was going to say, everybody wins in that scenario.
Everyone wins, yes.
The seller gets the maximum value, the agent gets the maximum commission, and the buyer gets maximum value and love out of it because they can see it now where it could be, not trying to see in their mind, I wonder what this house could be. I like the location, but I don't know, this doesn't work for me. Have I got the imagination, the cash, the time to try and turn it into something.
Exactly. And the time is a really big factor. And these two exhibitors also touched upon or went back to a concept that Lori mentioned. And Lori, again, was talking about affordable housing. And she talked about making the tech algorithms more equitable.
She mentioned that. I'm not sure I
Yes.
really understand that. Does that mean that there's a sort of, I know we hate to say this these days, but there's kind of a built-in bias. I remember when I went to college, the kind of classic joke was you take the SATs, and one of the questions might be, how many polo ponies does somebody have? And somebody else is saying, what's a polo pony or something? I know that's an extreme example, but they phrase the question in a way
Yes.
that maybe if you grow up in a certain segment of society, you get it. You understand what they're talking about. You've experienced that. Other people are like, I don't even know what they're talking about.
Right. That's exactly it. And there's outright discrimination, of course, but there are all of these biases and this learned knowledge that is not universal. And algorithms are only as good as they're programmed to be. And there's human beings actually programming and creating these algorithms. So it's part of training and removing these limiting concepts and beliefs and the frame of knowledge to make sure that you're actually able to innovate bias out of tech.
Or innovate out not overlook other things, factors that should be considered. For example, we've done shows on housing for years, or not housing, on HR.
Yes.
And HR more and more, resumes are screened by robots.
Yeah.
And they're looking for, the algorithm has predicted certain keywords, certain things that you've done in the past. And they're kicking out a ton of qualified candidates who might not meet the exact, the maximum criteria, the ideal criteria, but they might have something else that you're overlooking, that you didn't factor in, that you didn't add into the robot. And then if you sat and talked to them, you'd get, wow, this person's really innovative.
Yeah.
Okay, how do I show that on a resume?
And that's exactly it. Is it people are losing out of opportunities because they didn't have the right keywords in their resume, not because they weren't qualified.
Right.
Yeah. So we are going fast and furious through all of these interviews, and I want to make sure we leave enough time to talk about some of the other presenting companies there. There's one company that Wendy really wanted us to learn about, which was Avail, and the CEO there is Ryan Kuhn. So they were an exhibitor. He also is a little bit of cheating because he was one of the speakers, but they had this great presence there. And another startup, it was actually acquired by Realtor.com in December 2020. And it's already a platform that's simplifying the rental experience. So from buying and selling to renting. And it has about 600,000 DIY landlords on it.
There you go. More and more people own a second property, me included, that we've inherited or something, and we're all trying to figure out, do we sell it? Do we rent it?
And I know you've had challenges with it too.
Yeah. Don't even go there. Yeah.
We're going to need a therapy session
We're
for
going to
that.
need a
if not.
therapy session for that one. Yeah, the mistakes and the
Yeah.
difficulties. It's not my core business, so you rely upon others, and when they make serious mistakes, you're seriously in trouble in these things. Let's see what Ryan has to say about all this.
This is Wendy Hooper-Ross with OC Talk Radio. I'm at the IoI Summit at LA, and I'm speaking with Ryan Kuhn with Avaya. Ryan, how are you? And please tell us about your company.
Yeah, thanks, Wendy. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk with you. So, as you mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders of a company called Avail, which is software that really helps mom and pop independent landlords manage residential rental properties and provide a better experience for the renters that live in those homes. Today, there's about 300,000 individual landlords who use the Avail product all across the country. There's properties that are managed with Avail in almost every zip code in the US. And there's also about 1.2 million renters that live in the homes that are managed with Avail. We're really excited to be here at the IoI Summit just to learn more about innovation, see what's going on, and then also just share more about what we're doing so that we can help more landlords really achieve their dreams.
And you recently got a pretty substantial cash infusion, didn't you? Tell us about what happened.
Yeah, so about 18 months ago, Avail was actually acquired by Realtor.com. And so our entire team joined Realtor.com in December of 2020, and we're now building out their rentals business. So in my current role, I continue thinking about the Avail product and audience, but also spend time thinking about the big institutional owners and all of the renters out there who are trying to find a place to live.
So for our listeners who want to know how to tap into your product line, landlords and tenants alike, where should they go?
Yeah, so they can find our website at avail.co. They can also head over to realtor.com and click on the Manage Rentals button. And then we're also on all the social media at Hello Avail. So we're out there, and they can find us on any of those spots.
So cool. So cool. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me. And for those of you who are listening, he's promised to be on my podcast. We'll really dial in a little bit more deeply at OC Talk Radio. But for now, this is Wendy Hooper-Ross, OC Talk Radio at the IoI Summit.
Hello, Avail. I'm going to go avail myself of that and find out more. Because I do have a house. I inherited. I chose not to sell it. I someday dream of living in it. And I've had nightmares, literally nightmares, trying to deal with renters, find renters, and in some cases, just the technical part of renting. We've made some mistakes. Yeah.
I feel like listeners are missing out right now because as the description of Avail was, as Ryan was presenting that, you got the biggest smile on your face, Paul.
This is what I've been waiting for. Because I
Yes.
don't know how to be a landlord. I don't have the time to do this. Or I didn't go to, I didn't study to do this. I didn't work in the industry. I'm doing this as a side gig here, trying to hold on to the house. And in one sense, it's been a very good choice because the house has gone up dramatically since my parents passed away.
Which is the purpose of passing on property.
Yeah,
to,
had I
generation
sold
to
it,
generation.
which others advised me to do, just get rid of it, take the money, it went up substantially. And by renting it, I was able to cover the costs. It's a fully paid off house, but it still costs $1,000, $1,500 a month, taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So without renting it, I could not have held on to it. But that's forced me into a second career as a landlord that I'm not always well versed or well prepared for here.
All right. Well, you have Avail now.
I can avail myself
You can
of
avail
theirs.
yourself of that. All right, Paul, do you have Wendy's interview with Jetstream Hospitality Solutions? It's a really good one with
Is this
Emmanuel
the one with
Lavoie.
Emmanuel? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let's play that one.
This is Wendy Hooper-Ross with OC Talk Radio at the IoI Summit in Los Angeles. I'm speaking with Emmanuel Lavoie. Please tell us a little bit about you, your company, and why you're here.
Wendy, thank you so much for having me on the show. My name is Emmanuel Lavoie. I'm the CEO of Jetstream. We're a Canadian headquartered company that helps realtors and brokers operate a short-term rental management business in a completely outsourced fashion.
I love it. So how did you hear about this show? It's pretty new. This is only year 4.
One of our agent customers was telling me that really we should come here and actually pitch at the competition because she thought we would win. And we submitted, and we did not get selected for the pitch.
I'm actually kind of disappointed by that, but you're still getting a lot of love from a lot of us, right? So there's definitely ROI here.
Oh, big time ROI. My first time here, obviously. I know no one at the event, which is hard. I feel like it's the third industry I try to get into in my life like this. And yeah, it's been really, really positive.
Well, I'm not letting you go. I love that we've met, and I love that you're going to be in my arsenal of tools, and I love that you've agreed. Paul, document this. He's going to be on my podcast. So until then, please let our listeners know how they can reach you if they want more information.
Thank you. Email, website would be jetstreamtech.io. You can find me on LinkedIn, Emmanuel Lavoie, L-A-Victor-O-I-E. And yeah, this event has been wonderful, and what I've really taken from it is how diversity forward it has been. It's really been impressive for me. I was expecting a bunch of older men in gray suits, and it's actually completely the opposite. And I find that's very, very positive.
I love it. Thank you for your time. Again, this is Wendy Hooper-Ross for OC Talk Radio at the IoI Summit in Los Angeles.
Emmanuel Lavoie, thank you so much for being on the show with Wendy, and we definitely will take you up on your offer to come back in. And we were giggling at that part of he was expecting there to be nothing but old white men there. And
I cracked up when he said it because isn't that what we all expect?
That's what we all expect. But Wendy was pleasantly surprised, as she said on a previous show, that the diversity of attendees and presenters and heavy female and really other minority groups represented, which is very different. And that's really good because let's get to the really what the juice of the conference is and the investors backing these prop tech companies. Really, it's one thing to come to market with an idea. It's another thing to have an investor realize the potential of it and also step out of their own way of those biases that we've talked about. So Wendy talked with some investors with varying appetites for risk, everyone from angel investors to venture capitalists, but they really were all bullish on what they were seeing at the summit. So let's start with Wendy's interview with Victor Lund, for example.
This is Wendy Hooper Ross with OC Talk Radio at the IoI Summit in Los Angeles. I'm talking to Victor Lund. Victor, tell me everything. You have so much experience. Tell us about you, your current entity, what you're doing professionally, and why you're here.
Well, it's good to be here. Good to see you. I'm here at the IoI Summit. IoI stands for Innovation, Opportunity, and Investment. And it's an effort that was started during Elizabeth Mendenhall's time in office as the head of NAR to get the realtor organization involved as a gateway for technology companies that are coming into our industry. And I've been very excited by this initiative, and we've supported NAR with this initiative all 4 years that they've been able to.
That explains my question about how you jumped aboard initially.
Yeah, Wave Group is our primary business. We're a consulting firm, and we work with the technology companies that serve the MLS industry, the brokerage industry, and the association groups. So that's sort of the world that we live in, and we also operate a company called RE Technology, which is a real estate technology shopping portal for agents and brokers. So we try to stay current on all of this stuff, and this is a great place to see the folks that are both have had success delivering technology solutions in the real estate industry, coupled with all of the great new companies that aspire to do the same.
Now, I'm curious, what do you hope to see as optimal outcome from this event?
Yeah, for us, we have an M&A group that works a lot in technology, so we'll spend a lot of time working with the venture capitalists that are here. We ourselves have a venture capital arm, so we make investments. So to the extent that there are some exciting new startups, it's always good to play with them. And then there are a number of clients that we have here as well. So for us, it's a trifecta. It's a way to marry great relationships that we have in the business with new relationships that we hope to form.
That is wonderful. Well, I sincerely hope for the same thing. I can't wait to see the pitches. This should be very interesting. Thank you for your time.
You bet. Thank you, and I appreciate you guys covering this event.
Absolutely. Wendy Ross, IoI Summit in Los Angeles. This is Wendy Hooper Ross for OC Talk Radio. I'm at the IoI Summit in Los Angeles, and with me now is Mr. Tom George.
Hi, this is Tom George. I am with Romulus, which is part of Constellation Software. Romulus owns a portfolio of real estate technology companies focused in residential real estate and mortgage.
So how did you hear about this summit? I'm surprised this is only year 4 and some pretty heavy hitters are here like you.
Yes, well, I've been attending NAR conferences for the past 20 years, and we have a lot of good friends at the NAR. They started this a few years ago to focus on early stage companies, and while we are acquirers of more mature companies, it was a great opportunity for us to come and meet them early on, so 5 or 10 years down the road, we might be the acquirer. So it had a natural attraction for us, and the NAR does a great job, letting all of us in the industry know what they're up to when they launch something new like this.
I had forgotten. I get a bit jaded in real estate, and I assume that no one plays the long game, but there you are. It's exactly what you're doing. So having said that, what do you hope to see accomplished through this convention for the attendees and also for your own company?
Well, I think that this is just a great opportunity for the attendees to see what's bleeding edge, what's happening out there that is new, and new ideas that have come out of a period where technology usage during COVID accelerated so much. And we're just finding that business models that we thought were 10 years out are here today. And especially in this industry, which has tons of manual components to the process, the parallel processes of getting the home sold and getting it financed and the title portion. So I think everyone's just excited to see what's next a lot earlier than we ever thought we would.
And to that end, one last question, if you will. I was a huge fan of the 10X model, and that they were creating a completely transparent platform where all parties to a transaction could see immediately, and again, without anyone filtering something out, what was going on. And that never made it to the residential market, certainly not in California. Do you see someone coming in to fill those big shoes?
Well, I think what's happening is you have a lot of consolidation in the technology space. We've been at it now for over 10 years. We've acquired 22 companies. We're providing integrated offerings, but you also see this with the big private equity-backed vendors like Inside Real Estate and Moxie. And so, I think we have large, well-funded competitors who, like 10X, are really focused on, broadly automating the transaction. And so, I think we're going to see that that's, the norm and not the exception in the next 5-10 years.
As much as I hope that happens, it's going to mean no more jobs for a lot of people in my world. So on that happy note, I'm going to close it. Thank you again. This is Wendy Hooper-Ross at IoI Summit in Los Angeles. This is Wendy Hooper-Ross for OC Talk Radio at IoI Summit in Los Angeles. With me now is Maximilian Diaz. Max, talk to me. Tell me who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Hi, I'm Maximilian Diaz. I'm the general partner of the 25V Diversity Fund. It's a series of funds, of DEI-focused funds based in San Mateo, California.
I love that there's focus now and people are talking about DEI. And it's not just lip service. You're actually putting your money where your mouth is, right?
Yeah, so as a Filipino American that grew up in a Filipino family, we started off in real estate in the early 70s, and my aunts, my mother, my father, they were all in real estate, so I get bit by the real estate bug. But a few years later, I decided that I didn't want to do it so much, so I focused on tech, and I got bit by the tech bug. So I was early at Redfin, then another company called UpNest we started in 2012 that was recently acquired by Realtor.com, and then more recently I was an exec at Movoto.com and performed a management buyout that was later acquired by Ojo Labs. This led me on this kind of this rabbit hole to become not just because of being an entrepreneur, but I figured out there was another way that I could potentially put together an impact. And so I started the fund in early part of this year to focus on investing in diverse founders that were similar to me, founders who had gone through adversity, and founders who we think that were underrepresented in the VC community.
That is incredibly beautiful. So tell me, as a judge for the pitch battle, are you excited for today's pitches? Have you got any preconceived ideas about what's coming?
So in terms of pitches, there won't be another pitch battle today, but I think today there's a lot of it just kind of networking and just kind of focusing on meeting some of the founders and getting to know them. A part of our ethos is this understanding the mindset and like the thought process between like all of these founders. We want to know how they deal with adversity, and because running a startup is very difficult. There's days where you're really all about it and you really focus on getting things done, and there are other days where you need inspiration. And I want to know like how those type of leaders and founders deal with those situations in their lives. So I'll spend some time talking to some of the companies that we're looking at to do what I like to say more due diligence to understand how potentially they'll be whether they'll be successful and whether or not we could potentially advise them or invest in them.
That's an incredibly sage point, because how you elevate yourself and motivate yourself to get through the tough times really could dictate success or failure.
There's two parts. Generally, I like to separate luck and skill. I think they're two different things. I think you can be lucky sometimes, but the only way that you can really improve your life is improving your skill and your expertise. But they're connected in many ways, especially in the business world. So what I like to do is try to figure out whether they've just been lucky in their business, or it's really been just a combination of pure skill, and whether or not like our advice, whether our value add, whether our resources, whether our money can help them kind of expand on making those two things coalesce in their business.
Good Lord. All I can say is that if you find someone here that you choose to invest in, they're a very, very lucky entity. So thank you so much for being with us. This is Wendy Hooper-Ross at IoI Summit, Los Angeles.
Well, I'll echo Wendy's sentiment. Good Lord. I'm impressed with the people that Wendy hangs out with. Like our sponsor today here, another one of her strategic partners, Ford Dealio. We talk about them all the time. They're an Orange County-based boutique litigation firm with experienced attorneys from the big law firms. Partners have founded the company did so in the concept of aligned interests. There's something you don't hear every day from attorneys, where their success is related to the value and results they achieve, not just in how big they run up the billing, where they're rewarded for being efficient and effective, and where they engage in the relentless pursuit of their clients' goals, whether in litigation, mediation, or at trial. That's something missing in your life. Check them out. FordDiulio.com. FordDiulio. FordDiulio.com. Really starting to see a pattern here. Wendy really is out on the frontier, giving us insights that nobody else is giving me locally here.
Correct. She's a sage disruptor in this market, and we're lucky to have her. And that's the kind of insight that you'll hear by listening to This Week with Wendy. So Wendy will be back next week, but in the meantime, do us a solid and subscribe to this podcast wherever you like listening to podcasts, and check us out at realveracity.com as well.